Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by Apex Irons from Callaway.
Hello, I'm Matt Adams, and this is your Golf Central update. The PGA Tour heads to Japan, the Zozo Championship. Well, it was supposed to be the middle of an East Asian swing, but with COVID restrictions, it's the only event in Asia this fall. Last year's event was held at Sherwood Country Club in California. Patrick Cantlay won on 23 under par. This might be the PGA Tour's only stop in Asia this year, but there was a big tournament there in the summertime. Xander Schauffele claimed gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Schauffele just played at the CJ Cup in Vegas. So quick turnaround, lots of travel, but he's excited to be back in Japan.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's was bummed to not come to Japan last year for the Zozo, so I was happy to make my return for the Olympics. And then, of course, winning the gold medal was really special for my family and myself. And returning to Japan has been really cool. And so I've been looking forward to this tournament for quite some time. And yeah, it's easy to say that I'm very happy to be here.
What type of reception do you expect to get as the Olympic champion?
A warm one. You know, I think even my first time playing the Zozo here, when Tiger won, I was paired with JT and Rory McIlroy, and we had such a warm welcoming on the first hole, you know, with 5 to 10 rows deep of people just going nuts that we were out there. So Japanese people love golf. They're very supportive, and obviously that was pre-COVID, and now we're playing kind of during COVID. So there's going to be limited fans this week, and I think it'll still be a very warm welcoming.
Collin Morikawa is also in Japan, taking a look at his terrific 2021 season. 2 wins, 8 top 10 finishes. He lost in a playoff with a bronze medal in Tokyo. He made more than $7 million on tour. He finished second last week at the CJ Cup, and he addressed the media in Japan earlier.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is my 5th time now in Japan, 4th time playing golf, and my first time was in 2016. So I've pretty much come back once a year almost, and it's just getting better and better. Obviously, I wish we can go out and travel and explore the city a little more. That's some of my favorite parts of just being a professional golfer. But just to be here in Japan, to play for the fans, you know, once again, just that added motivation to try and win. You know, it's really cool to win, obviously, when you're playing on the PGA Tour, but when you have an opportunity to win outside the U.S., the few places, you know, when we do play outside, to add that to the resume would be pretty cool.
What did you find in your game over the weekend last week?
I didn't really find anything. There's little things that, you know, I'm not going to dive too far in because I'm still trying to figure it out. But just little things, you know, when I compare myself to playing, you know, shooting 17 under on the weekend to a few under, you know, the first 2 days, or you compare it to the playoffs, right? Not playing well in the playoffs. They're just little things you think about when you're playing or when you're hitting shots that, you know, might work for me, might not work for someone else, but, you know, it's figuring out how I'm going to be a little more consistent. So what I'm thinking about through those last 2 rounds, how I'm thinking through shots is kind of what I want to bring to this week and the future, and make sure I don't forget these things. You know, I tell myself when I'm playing bad, you know, these are big lessons I want to learn from, and I make sure I don't try and repeat them. But when I'm playing good, sometimes I forget what I did as well. And, you know, it's not as simple as just taking a swing video when you're playing well and you can remember that. So it's just little things that, you know, sometimes you forget about them because you worry about something else, or you're trying to work on another part of your game. But it's, you know, stick to your strengths and keep pushing those.
The inaugural Jackson T. Stevens Cup wrapped up at the Aleutian Club, and on the men's side, Notre Dame and Arkansas, they met in the match play. The Fighting Irish would win 4-1. Here you can see the scores. Winners include Palmer Jackson and Davis Chatfield. So, Jim, when you look at that board and that performance by the Fighting Irish, was it what you expected?
You know, I don't know. Arkansas came in there winning the last 2 tournaments, coming in there strong, playing some great golf. They're playing on grass they're familiar with, Zoysia fairways, bent greens. Notre Dame played great in the medal play. It doesn't always transfer over into the match play, but Notre Dame came in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, maybe motivated to come out there to prove that it wasn't a fluke, that they are one of the best teams in the country. They played like it. Co got out to a big lead. They were all up big early, and Co let that 5-up lead kind of get away from him. Remember, in the middle play, it got away from him, and he didn't end up winning. So I think he kind of got that back together. Chatfield, I expected him to win based on his summer that he's had playing the USAM, and in the summer before that, he had such a great match play player. He beat Jake Long, who played at Arkansas, who just won at the Blessing. So
yeah, that's why when you say expected, he won 6-4. Wasn't that a surprise?
6-4 was a surprise. Winning, not so much, just based on his past record, but contrast of players and distance. Chatfield just kind of gets it down there. He doesn't hit it long, and Long drives the green, 300-some yards. He's a big long hitter, so it's completely different, and that's the beauty of match play. You can make a mistake. You don't have to be a long hitter to win it, and Davis went out to do it. But Palmer Jackson, what a great interview we had with him. He played phenomenal at the end. Just the whole team, and I think for their program, this takes them to the level of belief. And a couple years ago, they were in the top 10 in the rankings, got to 5th. COVID came in, canceled the season. They've played okay up to this point. This was huge for their program going forward, not only for themselves, for national recognition. John Fields, who's the coach at Texas, I talked to him today about him. He said, man, they've been on the radar of every coach. We know how good they are. So now they know how good they are, and everybody in America knows how good they are.
That's a pretty potent combination.
Yep.
It certainly sounds like. On the women's side, it was LSU and South Carolina in an all-SEC final. LSU also winning by the same margin, 4-1. Ingrid Lindblad won her match against Hannah Darling, 2 of the top 10 amateurs in the world. Latanta Stone also winning by the mark of 2 up. So, Jim, when you look at that leaderboard, what's your impressions?
Well, you knew Tejeda, Stone, and Lindblad had to win. If South Carolina would have beat their best 3 players, that would have been huge to them. They got off to a big starter. Tejeda was way up and then kind of got away from her. But they hung in there. I think their team was trending in the right direction. South Carolina is kind of a brand-new team. 4 out of the 5 are all new to the team. They're always a gritty team. You got to watch out for them. They're always tough. They'll be tough come springtime. But for LSU, finishing so well at the Illini tournament, having a chance to win, and we had Garrett Runyon on. He said, we're up there on slow greens, wet, different kind of golf course. We come down there, something they're familiar with, but they knew how big this tournament was and what it would mean to win for their program and to get it going in the right direction. They still have one event next week at the Alley at Old Waverly, so they're going in there and they're playing with that momentum. Watch out, because their ranking has suffered because of the beginning of the season when they didn't play as well. And they're right now going in the direction we expected them as we came into the season.
When Coach Runyon joined us on Golf Central 2, we asked him about the significance of this win in this time of year. With still some work to do in the fall, but how it will impact the spring. I like the way he said, the fall is just as important as the spring, but you want to keep the momentum going.
Well, and another thing he said, and I think it's very right, and he talked about it, that I asked him, because he was the assistant coach at LSU when they won the national championship. What did you learn from there on the men's side? Because that was a big transformation, to get over there to coach the women. He coached my daughter, her last year, and he said, one shot means everything. I remember in the SEC championship my sophomore year, we're battling it out. I didn't think my score was going to count. I took some aggressive lines, made a mistake, we lose by 1. I'm 60 years old, and it still bothers me today.
The Alotian Club, the host club, it's going to be in somewhat of a rotation. How did you think that course played, particularly for match play?
I think it was fantastic. I'm glad. I know they were glad they were on carts earlier on to get them around there, but it's a beautiful golf course, great vistas. It took a little while for them to figure out the golf course. They did, but the best 2 teams that were playing the best this week won.
Those 2 teams that were playing the best, LSU and Notre Dame. Congratulations to both programs for very, very well-earned victories.